Alright, what's going on, ladies and laddies? I hope your days have been dandy so far, and in today's video I have my top 10 favourite COD maps of all time. Now, this is a list of the 10 maps which I personally think are the best out of the entire COD series of all the maps we've had. Four things will be considered. Number one, the remasters across several games if the map has been remastered, how the map played across various game modes, the general community opinion of the map, and then, of course, the fourth factor, my personal opinion and experience with the map. Let's get started, shall we? Okay, coming in at the number 10 spot, we have Fringe from Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Fringe is described as a dusty, forgotten farm town near a massive space launch facility. Some great things about this map were, well, the layout, for example. It was on an urban terrain, there were good alleyways for long-range engagements, and speaking of long-range engagements, I know that some people will remember the window wars between the barn and the house on the opposing sides of the map. It was available for all game modes, and on top of that, I'm giving this map a couple of bonus points for the Fringe Nightfall variant, which was also awesome. Coming in at number 9 is a slightly controversial one, and that's Prison Break from Ghosts. And hold on, before you come at me with your pitchforks and you comment on that this video is terrible, let me explain myself. I am putting a COD Ghosts map on this list because I loved this map, and I know a lot of people think that the words top 10 COD maps and Ghosts shouldn't ever go together. Hear me out, okay? Prison Break was a prison located deep in the jungle, surrounded by waterfalls, tall trees, and logging and construction equipment. There were multiple interesting high engagement areas of the map: the back river, the guard tower, and the logging area. This map didn't really have the problem that a lot of maps in COD Ghosts did, the problem being that they were too large. Well, at least not to the same extent. Personally, I had great memories playing Safeguard and multiplayer modes with my brother and my cousins on this map. It was always my favourite one in Ghosts. It was always the one I liked playing the most, and if I played custom games, I would choose it, or if I were playing pubs and it would come up, little Ansel would be like, yes. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Crash from COD 4 originally. However, it also featured in Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare Remastered, COD Mobile, and Modern Warfare 2019. Crash features a crashed helicopter in a desert town, hence the name. It's surrounded by city and houses/apartments. It's an iconic map featuring open, long-range engagements as well as close quarters engagements in the houses, so it had a little bit of everything. The fight for the mid-map was fun, fight for control of the helicopter was good fun, and there was a night version which was great as well as a Christmas version in Modern Warfare Remastered. In the number 7 spot, we have FLLA, which featured originally first in Modern Warfare 2, that's the game it debuted on. However, it also featured in Ghosts and Modern Warfare 3, the latest Call of Duty game. Favela is an alleyway Brazilian neighbourhood surrounded by mountains, billboards, and the Christ the Redeemer statue, the iconic Brazilian statue. There were plenty of rooftop engagements. That was the main distinguishing feature about this map, actually. And as well as rooftop engagements, there were also plenty of iconic callouts and spots in the map, such as Predators, Barbershop, Ice Cream, the like. It was great for all modes, as it featured fast-paced and close-quarter battles. It had many tall buildings for snipers and alleyways for close quarters. Much of the map was built vertically with plenty of space around the rooftops and two-storey buildings, and there's a football field where the battles are mostly held. This map can accommodate many different styles of play and game types. Most of the buildings featured two stories, and they made keeping track of enemies pretty difficult, meaning you could hide and work your way around the map stealthily. Getting the high ground on this map did give players more range, but then they also needed to watch out for other players shooting them down in all directions and altitudes, because there was barely any cover on those higher levels. So also, because of these higher levels, Commando was quite useful, and Attack Knife as well, because you were frequently running into head-on enemies, and on top of that you could fall off the rooftops. Commando Pro's fall damage resistance can be useful too, because, like I said on the rooftop, sometimes the best way to get out of the enemy's sights, or to drop on them, literally, was to jump off the building, and falling too far from buildings will injure you or kill your character if you don't have Commando Pro, so controlling the high ground would help win a match, but every building had more than one way of reaching the roof. Players can jump across the roofs or they can climb up the ladders that feature inside. Although the map was fairly large, close quarter encounters are frequent, especially near the buildings that led to the rooftops. And at the number 6 spot, we have Rust, featured firstly in Modern Warfare 2, but it also returned in Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 3. How could I have a top 10 COD maps without mentioning Rust? And a lot of people might be surprised that it's so low down, only sitting in 6th place, but hear me out. It was an iconic 1v1 map, arguably the most iconic map of all time. This was where 1v1s were held before Nuketown. It was also great for pubs, as it was hectic and close quarters, good for all playstyles, and on top of that, the two levels made the map really interesting. If you don't know what I'm talking about the big tower right in the middle that players would fight for the high ground over. However, the reason this is 6th is because while it was an iconic map, I don't think it was that imaginative, and to be honest, it was lacking in a lot of features. And at the number 5 spot, we have Shipment. This map debuted in COD 4, however it also returned in World War II, Modern Warfare 2019 Vanguard, and Modern Warfare 2 2022. It was a tiny storage facility with cargo containers to shelter from aerial killstreaks. It was the smallest map of any COD, fun fact, full of close quarters combat, and it was one of the big 3 1v1 maps. Before there was Rust and Nuketown, there was Shipment. That's where 1v1s were originally settled. It was great for all playstyles, running and gunning, sniping and meleeing, and it's a small in size, filled with shipping containers, giving it its name. It's also entirely symmetrical in design, with 2 containers on the west and east sides of the map, one of which can be walked through either side, 8 containers in the middle, 2 of which can be entered, 2 containers on the north and the south sides of the map, one of which can be entered on the side, and a debris covering the corners of the map. Outside of the containers, the map supplies no cover from aerial support and little cover from enemy gunfire, so you really needed to use those shipping containers to your advantage. Because of its extremely compact setting, the spawn points were very vulnerable to spawn killing. Close range weapons were naturally a good fit for the map, and high capacity weapons such as LMGs and SMGs such as the P90 were super useful to have, just due to how easy it could be for the player to be spotted while reloading. Light machine guns and snipers could easily shoot through the containers, which would aid in spawn killing, and explosive weapons were also recommended for the kind of more highly packed and traffic areas of the map, mainly around the north and south ends of the map, and the containers which can be walked through from either side. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have Firing Range / Studio, which featured in BO1, BO2, BO3, BO4, and COD Mobile. Firing Range was a military practice facility in Cuba, which mostly favoured close to medium range combat, with SMGs, assault rifles, and LMGs being the best to use. If you were defending a building, shotguns could also prove useful. Snipers were difficult to use because of the map's small size, but it also meant feeding was good, and on top of that, Studio was particularly popular among trick shotters. There were 2 main buildings either team looked to control, with a small tower in the middle of the map, and then the thin wooden house is hotly contested among either teams, while the tower makes a great camping spot. The 2 teams spawn dangerously close to each other, with a well-placed grenade able to sneak a kill. Claymores or motion sensors were highly recommended for the more defensive or camping players, as they were constantly rushed by the other team, and it wasn't really recommended to rush, as automatic fire and sprinting will result in quick death, so in other words, you don't want to be running around on this map. Snipers were somewhat uncommon due to the map's small size, as I said, but that being said, they could provide good support with the low and middle adjustments of a variable scoped sniper rifle. And also snipers were great for defending objectives, such as Bomb Site A, which could be guarded from the tower. Flak Jacket was highly recommended during domination games because the map was incredibly open in close quarters, meaning that grenades and RPGs were pretty popular, and it lent itself to a lot of explosions as a map during chaotic domination and demolition games. In the number 3 spot, we have Highrise, which debuted in MW2. It was remade for Advanced Warfare under the name Skyrise, and it also featured in Call of Duty Online, Call of Duty Mobile, and Modern Warfare 3. Highrise is a rooftop skyscraper. It was a 2-layer map with obviously a slightly quote-unquote underground area, and then obviously the 2 office buildings. It was an iconic map for several reasons. Firstly, the spawn snipe, which both teams could go for between the 2 windows on opposing sides of the map. Not to mention all the parkour involved, for example the parkour course to the rooftop and the crane, jumping on the crashed window washing platform, and even the iconic trick shot, the crane shot, which was exclusive to Highrise. The map features both indoor and outdoor fights, so there was good cover from all kill streaks, but at the same time the outdoor areas were popular. A unique feature of the map was its multi-tiered construction. Both offices could be accessed by a tunnel underneath, which led upstairs at various points in between. Near the cranes, there's an elevator shaft with a ladder. Behind it is a climbable ledge players can hide behind, and players can access the roof on the south block and see almost the entire map. Although after a few kills, these players were easily taken out, and the journey to the roof needs a skillful player that can run and make quick turns on the ledge whilst avoiding getting shot. For this region, tactical insurgents were recommended and were often quite popular for players who like to camp on that rooftop. Players can also climb to the top of the crane at the west side of the map, giving a somewhat similar view of the map, but they were also harder to spot, hence the crane shot. From that crane, there is access to a ledge above the North Tower's office. A tactical insertion was also useful there. To get to the North Tower, players must climb onto a crane, walk across to the North Building, then climb onto one of the several window cleaning platforms and walk across the ledge. There will be a window where players can crouch under it. There will be a choice if the player wants to go onto the platform, smashing the window, or stay on the ledge. So there were plenty of routes to manoeuvre and to sneak around the map, hence helping spawn camping, but also getting out of a spawn trap at the same time. In at the number 2 spot, we have Terminal, which debuted in Modern Warfare 2, but it also returned in Modern Warfare 3, and featured in COD Online, COD Mobile, Infinite Warfare, and Modern Warfare 3, the newest installment. Terminal was an airport with medium to long range combat with many different areas such as the plane, the Red Roof, Burger Town, newsagent, security check, waiting room, and because of these areas, which were great for callouts, the map was fantastic for more competitive game modes such as Headquarters and Search and Destroy. Terminal, which is an airport terminal, hence the name, is full of luggage, bars and small shops. The outside area of the map, where planes and cargo were stationed, has many tiny areas that are accessible as well. Players are allowed to go onto a plane, which has realistic seats inside of it with the exception of the cockpit seats. Security checkpoints and barricades make the map very maze-like. This and the indoor areas can provide some cover from enemy kill streaks, but there are many overhead windows that should be avoided indoors, so the plane was actually the safer place to be, as it was protected from any airborne threat, although this meant it was highly contested. The main hallway overlooking the outside part of the map, which has been given the name the Hallway of Death, should be avoided the most, as anyone below the ground can easily shoot through the windows and kill the player, as well as enemy players in the cockpit of the plane, and the fact that there was almost no cover and several entrances. The store in the centre of the map was an excellent place to go, as it had views outside of the airport as well as being adjacent to the hallway. There are several high up spots where many players flock to, usually going on massive kill streaks if they're set up correctly. Red Roof, for example. Along with this, some players get on top of the plane and can be pretty hard to remove from there, but it can also be pretty hard to do. One exploit was the commando glitch, for example, but once you get up there, you can be pretty hard to remove and you can be particularly annoying to the enemy team. The map was mainly filled with tight turns and medium range combat. As a result, assault rifles and SMGs were the most effective and the most common, while grenade mortaring and noob tubing is common as well, because guns didn't always have the straight lines of sight. Smoke grenades were useful for moving around the map without drawing sniper fire, as snipers were also incredibly popular on the map, especially on Red Roof. Shotguns are also good for the indoor parts of the map, where there were many small choke points, especially down the middle hallway and outside the areas. Snipers were useful, but shotguns could also have their uses if used correctly. Also, walking outside can result in the player getting sniped due to how popular the snipers were. Also, the jetway connecting the plane to the terminal building has an open section above the plane's door, which allows space for predator missiles and other explosive weapons too. But this open section is very small and it could be a waste of a killstreak or explosive. Due to the majority of the map being inside the airport, aerial killstreaks will fare much worse than on more exterior-based maps such as Dome. However, outside they can serve as very effective ways to pick off mobile enemies. As well, the interior feel allows for machines such as the recon drone, the sentry gun, and the assault drone to perform exceptionally, pinning down areas near common choke points with ease. All types of equipment and gadgets fare well, if set up in the right choke points. In objective game modes, certain areas could turn into meat grinders, shall we say, with constant spawn trapping and complete chaos in servers with large player counts. For example, everyone remembers the Ground War spawn trap, and the certain flag that you should never cap on terminal during domination games. If you know, you know. Explosives were very commonly used, even more so on flag-based game modes. And on domination, for example, the B flag in the middle hallway was always a death trap for both teams to try and capture, as there was almost no cover. With a very large amount of windows, players are constantly killed there. On the more bomb-based game modes, like Search and Destroy or Sabotage, matches could last a long time due to the map's size and the common tendency for players to stay inside. As we established before, going outside on those game modes were sure to lead to a swift death. And now the map in the number one spot, debatably the best map of all time on Call of Duty, is of course the one, the only, Nuketown. Nuketown was introduced on Black Ops 1, but it also featured in Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, COD Online, COD Mobile, and Cold War. It was arguably the most iconic map of all time, and I would say, personally, the best map for 1v1s, better than both Shipment and Rust. This map also featured in Zombies, set off across several games, and it was a close quarters map, but also long range. It was close quarters in the house when you were indoors, or fighting for the control of the two buses in the middle of the map, in domination fighting for the B flag. However, the long range engagements happened in the quote-unquote window wars, in which players would sit in the windows and snipe each other with marksman rifles, sniper rifles, or even assault rifles. This map was fantastic for camo grinding on the later CODs. I can personally say from personal experience, I played pretty much only Nuketown during the Dark Matter Altar grind on Cold War, and it made it a lot easier. The map is nearly symmetrical, as there are two houses with 2 floors and a garage, and a backyard to both a middle and front section with a few vehicles. On both ends, the team spawns in a garden area in the backyard. Upon spawning, the player may take a road to the centre of the map on either side of the house, go through the lower floor of the house, or go to the upper floor, which has a view over the centre and to the window of the other house. The chaotic action happens mainly in the central area, which has sight lines ideal for submachine guns and assault rifles, as well as tight corners and lanes suited for shotguns. The upper floor was a popular place for snipers. As we established, the window wars meant that players who prefer staring back from the action could get a bird's eye view of the map. The windows were accessible via 3 entry points, one set of stairs leading from the lower level of the house to the upper, another set of stairs from the yard to a deck leading inside, and through the main window via a series of climbable objects. However, obviously, the window entrance was highly dangerous as the player is exposed to gunfire from the centre and from the inside of the building, meaning that it can be quite difficult to get campers out of the houses, especially if you have aerial kill streaks. This was one instance where some of these specialists, such as Ruin from Black Ops 3 with the gravity spikes, or Firebreak from Black Ops 4, really thrived. Anyways, that was my personal list of the top 10 best Call of Duty maps of all time. I am aware that I will have definitely ruffled some feathers with my choices. For example, the fact that there's a ghost map on there, or the fact that some maps weren't rated as highly as others. If you did agree with my opinions, do let me know. If you didn't agree, that's completely fine. It's my personal list. I'm not at all saying that my list is the only correct list. This was, as I said, also subject to personal bias and my experience with the maps. But I do like to think that my views do reflect those of the Call of Duty community. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please feel free to toss a like my way, and possibly, maybe even consider subscribing. That is always something that you could do. And yeah, I will see you dudes on the other side. Peace out, people.